Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you are watching this or where you are watching from. Welcome to another time in my channel, and today we're going to be talking about something very important. Talking about someone who is an example, talking about someone we think we should emulate. We're going to be talking about the lifestyle of Esther today. We're going to be get to know how who this person is, who is this lady called Esther in the Bible, what did she do, why is she so relevant in the Bible? Why do everybody always want to talk about her? So keep studying these very things to this very moment. We get to know who she is, get to know her background, get to know what qualities she has, get to know how she was able to save her family and save the nation. We get to know all these things these very moments. So, I'm going to be going to know three things about her. First of all, who was Esther in the Bible? Now, was Esther someone who was from a wealthy home? Was she a child of royalty? We're going to be knowing all these things and knowing how she got this position, knowing how she went to attain this place that she presently is. Now, if you look at the story of Esther very right from the book, from the beginning, from chapter 1 to the very end. Now, Esther was not born in a wealthy home. She was not from a royal family, but she had a gift. She had a grace. She was someone who was very simple. If you look at the background of Esther very well, many people would have looked down on her. She was someone that, if you are countable in the nation, she was not counted among. But God looked at Esther and saw something great in her. He used her for something special. So what did God use her for? God be knowing about these things, these very moments. Now, if you look at Esther's background, she was an orphan who lived with an uncle, and there are virtues that she possessed that is very rare in our generations right now. The first thing was she was obedient. She was an obedient person. She didn't look at it like she's an orphan or so she could whatever she wants. She was somebody who was down, who brought herself down, and she was obedient to her uncle to the core. She was obedient. She was really an obedient person, and that made her to stand out among her mates. It made her stand out among her peers. Now, we're going to look at the attitude of Esther, the attribute that she contributes that made her a living epistle, that made her someone that we talk about, that made her a virtue. Now, there are three main things that Esther had that people look up to this very moment. The first thing there was courage. She had courage. We talked about faith. She had faith and divine intervention. So we're talking about these three things verse moment. If you look at the book of Esther, chapter 4, from verse 16, there was something that happened there. If you look at the story of Esther, there was something that happened in Esther chapter 4, verse 16. When after she was made queen, and she noticed that life of her people were in danger. Now, she didn't take herself out and said, after I'm now in the royal home and nothing concerns me with the commoners. But she knew her background, she knew where she came from, she knew that God was having a plan for her. And she being in the home of the royalty, she had to help her home, she had to help her country, she had to help her people who were from the subordinates. Now, if you look at the story very well, even when the conspiracy came, she did not take herself out. She made it she made it her business. She made it something that concerned her. She stood out and told herself she had to do this to bring her people out of bondage. She has to do this to make sure people were safe. She had to do this. There's certain things she had to do. First of all, was she had that courage that if anything was going to happen, then she'd start with her. She didn't take herself out. She didn't take it that okay, she was now in a royal home and nothing has anything to do with her, even whatever was affecting her people. But she took it upon herself that she had to be selfless and think about the well-being of her people for thinking about herself. She had courage. Even when it was against the law for she to go and meet the king without the king permission, she had that mind that I want to go and meet the king. I want to talk about my people. And if I perish, I perish. Now, when she got to the king palace, if you look at the story very well then, she found favor in the sight of the king because she found favor already in the sight of man. And before she found favor in the sight of man, there was something she did. She went to seek the face of God. She went to seek the face of God for 3 good days. She didn't just stand up and say, since I'm the queen, I can go and see the king. No. She knew the law of the land and she had to seek the face of God first. She had to seek the face of God to find favor in the sight of God so she can find favor in the sight of man. And when she had found favor in the sight of God, it was easy for her to find favor in the sight of man. Now, when she went to meet the king actually favored her and granted her request. Because normally, if you had gone to the king without king permission, you would have been killed. But when the king saw her, immediately the king granted her favor and she found favor in the sight of the king. The second thing there was faith. She had faith in God totally, that she knew that if I put God first in whatever I'm about to do, when I go to the palace, automatically I'm expecting something good. Now she had that faith and that belief in God that she was going to meet the king and she was not coming back with the way she went. Now she had that belief that when she was going to meet the king, she was going to come back with an expectation. She was going to come back with an answer. She was going to come back with the decree that was going to make. And if you study the book of Esther very well, when she went to meet the king, it came out the way she wanted. She met the king, she told the king this is what she wanted, and the king granted her request. Why? Because she has seen God in the secret already. She has put her faith in God already in the beginning. She had told God to go before her in the beginning already. Now, when she met the king, Bible says something there. He said after she told the king what I wanted, said the king had sleepless nights, and he was wondering, and something came into his mind all of a sudden. Before I was, something happened and somebody saved the king. Now, who was this person and what was done for this person? That was the trouble in his mind. And he began to search books by books, search the books of books by books. And then he noticed that nothing was done for the person. And the person we were talking about here was Esther's uncle. And an evil plan has planned against the uncle to be killed. Now, if Esther hadn't seeked the face of God, if she hadn't gone beyond her boundaries to make sure she saved her people, the uncle would have been killed. Now, she stood up, she left her comfort zone, she stood up and said, I must do it. Now, as a youth out there, as a person out there, whatever you have to achieve in life, you have to have the virtue of Esther. You must have courage, you must have faith, and believe in God's divine intervention. Because if God does not intervene in your case, you go nowhere. If God doesn't intervene in your case, you go nowhere. You must have that belief in God that I believe, I have this faith that you were going to do this. I have this faith that you're going to make it to pass. I have this courage in you that you're going to bring it to pass. I tell people sometimes, I said, when you begin to have that mind of fear in you that am I sure I can achieve this? You cannot achieve because you already looked down on yourself. You already have that self-low esteem that I cannot achieve it. When you have that courage that I can make it, I can do this, you see yourself doing it, and when you have God intervention already in it, it begins to work out for you. I don't know who you are out there that you have been actually having that lowest self-esteem. That you look at yourself as if I cannot make it. You look at yourself like I'm not bold enough to do this thing. You look at yourself like I cannot pass this limit. This is my limit. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I am meant to be. I am not telling you that you are actually more than that. You can go through more than that limit. You are courageous. You are someone who you just need someone to push you up. Get up from your comfort zone and tell yourself, I want to live that virtue of Esther. I want to be that virtuous person. I want people to look at me and say, we thought he couldn't do it, but he did it. I want to make a difference in my country. Because of me, I want my country to be saved. I want my people to be saved. God can use you to save your community, can use you to save your family. It doesn't matter how people have looked down on you. It doesn't matter how you have looked down on yourself. When God wants to use a man, he doesn't take you from the lift, from those who are high already. He takes from you who have looked down upon, you who have looked as nothing. When God wants to use somebody, he doesn't use somebody who has made it already. It is somebody who starts from the scratch. I don't know who you are out there that have looked at yourself and said, I cannot make it. I'm here to say that you can make it. Be it in your academics, be it in your business, be it in your career and life. That you look at him and said, I cannot achieve. You can achieve it. All you just need is courage. You just need to believe in yourself. Have that faith in yourself. The way Esther did. She had that faith. If I go to and meet the king, I'm going to know that my reputation will be met. And when she went, it was met. Tell yourself, I can make it. I can do this. I am more than this. And when you start having that positive thinking about yourself, when you start having that positive aspect about yourself, you start seeing a brighter future, start seeing positive results. Have the mindset of Esther, have the mindset of Esther that you can talk about yourself, you can tell yourself, I know that God has intervened in this and I can make it. That is the only way that you can bring out the possibility in you, the positivity in you. Only having that mindset of positivity. Don't look at him and say, I cannot make people look down on me. It is not how far they have looked down on you. When God wants to use a man, doesn't look at your background, doesn't look at where you're coming from. Because when he has a purpose for you. So I'm here to tell you this moment that you can achieve greater things in life. If only you can have that mindset of Esther, you can have that virtue that she had, have that courage, have that faith, have God's divine intervention in you. Know that it's only God that can bring these things to pass. Believe in him totally. Because Esther had that belief that I know that my Redeemer liveth, and I know that if I come meet the king, as far as God has said yes to me in the secret, it's going to be a yes in the open. So if you must achieve anything in life, you must have the mindset of Esther. You must have that virtue of Esther. You must have that mind of courage. That is the way you can achieve anything in life. And I declare for life this moment that whatever way you have been looked down upon and men have looked out on you and look at you as you are nothing, admitting that you are good for something, you are good for the best, that you are the solution of your life, the solution of your family, the solution of your state, you are the solution of your nation, that God can use you to change the nation, He can use you to change your state, He can use you to change your community, He can use you to change your family. Remain blessed and have a blessed day.